It covers the policyholder against any loss or damage from a number of sources. Fire insurance is one of the most common factors that we are talking about. But what is the real value of your asset? How does the fire insurance actually come into picture? How is this we are going to replace? How is that we are going to come back to normalcy? Now, fire insurance is not about life. Additional coverage against smoke or water damage that is caused by fire. It's quite normal altogether. Good morning and welcome to the first session of Unit 2, Fire Insurance. The name of this chapter itself is quite threatening in nature, but then no need to worry. This is a very simple chapter. It's a very interesting chapter where we are going to study about the nature of fire insurance. So quickly moving forward, let us see what is fire insurance and what have we got in terms of the policy. Okay, so we are going to talk about the fire insurance. So the term fire insurance refers to a form of property insurance that covers the damages and losses caused by fire. So this is a very important concept, because in the general insurance, the first concept itself that we are very much interested to look about is the fire insurance. So this is something which is very interesting and useful for us. Now, any damage that is caused by a fire breakout, we specifically talk about the fire insurance. Now, most of the policies come with some form of fire protection, but then for the homeowners, they may be able to buy an additional coverage in case their property is lost or damaged because of fire. Now, for the industries, or when we are talking about any of the organizations in particular, what happens here is that there is an amount of fire protection which is already built in with the insurance factor. But many a times what happens here is that when we talk about people who want to buy fire insurance for their home, for the household purpose, it becomes a very big challenge because they have to pay an additional cost in order to protect their home. So this is not going to be something which comes in like one single package, but this is going to be something where an additional factor is going to be added upon. So I would say that most of the policies come here with some form of fire protection, and this is factorly absorbed in most of the cases. Now, going forward, the standard policies of this insurance. Now, when I say that it is a fire insurance, so what is that has got in terms of the fire insurance altogether? What is that we need to understand when we speak about the fire insurance? Now, the first thing is that it is a property insurance. So that is very important. Now, fire insurance is not about life, which means to say that you will not be able to claim a fire insurance in case of a person who dies out of fire. This is only for a property, which provides additional coverage for loss and damage to a structure which is damaged or destroyed by the fire. So in case if a building, plant or a machinery or any of the property or asset gets damaged because of a fire breakout, then based on the assessment, based on the value, you will get a protection from the insurance company. So fire insurance is something which is going to back you up in the case of any loss that happens in terms of the fire breakout or any of the damage or the outbreak. Now, fire insurance may be capped at a rate that is less than the cost of the losses occurred, necessitating a separate fire insurance policy. Now, this is where the insurance companies really become smart enough. Why? Let us say the cost of the equipment which you are going to buy or the building worth is 10 lakh rupees. Now, will you get an insurance worth 10 lakh rupees? Definitely not. The fire insurance might be placed only about at 5 or 6 lakh rupees. So what am I going to do for the remaining 4 lakh rupees? You need to take an additional cover or an extra premium altogether. So that is where what happens here is that most of the time the fire insurance is always not equal to the value of the property which we are talking about. The value of the property might be an X amount, but the fire insurance will be definitely below the X amount, and they will not give it equal or higher value at all. So next time, whenever you are assessing your building, your home, your industry, or your plant or your machinery, you need to understand this concept that insurance does not mean an equivalent value will be given to your losses. Suppose if there is an accidental loss for me of 2.5 lakhs, that doesn't mean that if I claim an insurance, I'm going to get back that entire 2.5 lakhs. I would be getting only a partial amount of it, amounting to 70% or 60% of the value that has been damaged. So that is where insurance is a very, very important concept to understand. The next thing, policy pays the policy holder back on either a replacement cost basis or an actual value basis for the damages. Now, this is very, very important for you to know. Now, let's say that you are the policy holder holding a fire insurance. Now, what does the fire insurance say is that we will give you money in case of any damage based on replacement cost basis. Now, what is a replacement cost basis? Now, for example, I want to replace that machinery, replace that plant, replace that building, or whichever incident that has happened altogether. Now, I will give you a replacement cost. Whatever is the net worth of it, we will give you. Or else go on an actual cash basis value for the damage. What is the actual damage that has happened? Now you will say that the actual value of the damage is 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Now based on that also the fire insurance policy can be designed. So here we need to understand either you are going to just replace the machinery or the part or the building or the asset, or else you would be going in for an actual cash basis where you will go ahead and tell it very clearly that whatever is the value, for that value, please pay me back the insurance cost, please pay me back whatever I am worth in terms of taking it. So that is where this becomes a very, very important concept for all of us to understand. Now, although some homeowners insurance policies include fire coverage, they may not be extensive enough. That is a very, very important concept that we need to understand. Why? Because it is not extensive enough in order to manage the entire damage. So here we need to understand whenever you are going in for an insurance, you need to go in for a higher premium because you will get a higher coverage. Suppose you want to lesser your premium by less than 20% of the value, then automatically you will not be able to secure more value in terms of any damage or in terms of any cost that has happened altogether. So many a times what happens is that people who are taking insurance premium need to be very careful about this part. Higher the insurance premium they are paying, higher the coverage they can get. Suppose you start feeling that today I will pay a lower premium and during the time of emergency or exigencies, I will get an equal value back from the insurance company. That's not going to happen. So that is why we need to pay a lot of attention in how much is the coverage, what is the value of the policy, how much are we paying in premium, how much we will get back in terms of emergency. All these questions, all these factors have to be worked on before we start taking up any of the insurance policy. So this becomes very, very important and crucial for all of us to understand and go forward. Now, moving on, how does it work all together? So, how does the fire insurance actually come into picture? Now, let us start. Homeowners insurance provides policyholders with coverage against loss or damage to their homes, possession, also referred as insured property. So for example, I am insuring my home against fire breakout. So in case when there is a damage to the property, now when I say to the home, does it include all the vessels, all the utensils, all the factors inside? Now that might be a separate factor altogether. But when I am saying that the property is insured, that means the living area, the living house is being insured altogether. So when that gets insured, when that is into the picture, now anything happens to the living space or to the home altogether, then automatically there is an insurance coverage that is being given. Now, most of the times, if you now start seeing when you are buying a flat or when you are buying a home, automatically you are being forced to take up a insurance policy, a fire insurance or a home insurance or a general insurance altogether. The reason being is that we are not sure about the future and we are not sure about the fact that whether the things would remain the same or in case of emergency where to fall back. So in that case, the home insurance itself is one of the very big boon or a very big gift that is being given, which would be able to take care of the property matter. Now, followed by which, this is a blanket term which is used both in interior and exterior home as well as any assets that are kept on the property itself. Now we are coming into the factor. So the TV, the fridge, whatever is inside, suppose there is a damage caused by the fire to all the incidental values inside the property, so that insurance will also cover all those things. So we will make a complete evaluation as in what is the impact of the damage that is caused by fire. Suppose when the fire breaks out, that leads into such a situation that it completely raises down the house in terms of the damage, then we are going to assess the value. We are going to see it in terms of what is the value that has been cost of in terms of interior and exterior, and then what are all the assets that have been kept under possession, and based on that you will be getting your insurance coverage. Followed by, the policies may also cover injuries some sustains while on the property. Yes, that's also likely to be covered and very much logical enough for all of us to understand. Why? Because property insurance also includes, especially when we are talking about the home, there might be people living inside the home at the time when the fire broke out. So what happens to them? So there might be some injuries sustained by them. There might be a situation when something would have fallen on them. So the fire insurance will also try to cover onto that side also. If somebody has sustained some injury, somebody has gone through some problem, somebody has attained some kind of difficulty because of the fire breakout altogether, then automatically what we will tend to do here is that we will tend to understand the situation and we will tend to bring in a picture. We will try to help him out by providing some sort of insurance altogether. Now, if you have a mortgage there, now this is a very, very important concept that you need to understand. If you have a mortgage, that's a very good chance that your lender won't advance your loan if your property isn't covered. So there is always, now when you say that the house isn't mortgaged, the property isn't mortgaged, there's a very good chance your lender won't advance your loan if your property isn't covered. That means your person who has given loan to you cannot come back and ask you the loan factor, because even if it is a requirement but it is not covered under insurance, so it is always important that you protect yourself. Now you can say that, okay, that's very good chance for me, nobody is going to ask me back, there's no recovery. But then let's understand from the life standpoint, let's understand from a property standpoint, even if it might not be a requirement but it is a mandatory for you to protect yourself, there are additional forms of coverage which you can buy while purchasing a fire insurance. So it is very, very important here to understand this factor. Whatever might be the conditions, whenever you are buying a home, whenever you are buying a property or a land or anything, please ensure that you also buy a fire insurance with it, so that in case any damage happens or anything gets affected to your property or to your system altogether, you will be able to go back, protect yourself and get the insurance on time. Now, moving forward, how does it work when we start continuing with this? We also need to know that it covers the policyholder against any loss or damage from a number of sources. Now, fire is something that does not break out exactly by one single material or by one single source. it might happen through multiple incidents, or it might happen through a scenario which we have not predicted at all. So that means to say that fire insurance is the cause of understanding and evaluating the outbreaks which we have not understood in the daily walk of life. So that's why when we take about the fire insurance, we also understand the policy holder is guarded against all kind of loss and damages from the number of sources. It might happen through a gas breakout, or through a kerosene leak, or through an electricity failure, whatever might be the cause and condition. But the fire insurance ideology here is that you need to cover the policy holder from the number of sources that are happening. So that is very, very important for us in terms of understanding the fire insurance. Following which, these includes fires brought about by electricity, such as faulty wiring, gas explosions, as I was talking about, as well as those which are caused by lightning and natural disaster. That is quite but normal altogether. So which means to say that if you are living in an area which is prone to some natural disaster, or which is prone to some kind of explosion or any kind of serious effect, the fire insurance will also look into it. So most of the time, if you look in this high-rise buildings that are available in metro cities, it is quite normal that a fire breakout can happen primarily because of a gas explosion. A fire breakout can happen primarily because of an electricity failure. A fire breakout can also happen because of some lightning struck or some short circuit or any of those factors altogether. But at that point of time, we are not worried about the cause. We are worried about protecting the life and getting back to normalcy. So if you want to get back to normalcy, you want to secure yourself, you want to protect yourself, you need to have a fire insurance. So all the fire insurance have been designated and designed in such a manner that most of the time it is meant to cover the protection, the asset all as far as possible. It's meant to cover the property in the best manner as far as possible. Now, a burst and overflowing water tank or pipes may also be covered by the policy. Now, this is also something new which is coming up altogether. Now, all of a sudden, when there's a flash flood or there's a breakout, or because of which a property is damaged or some kind of factor is happening, that might also be covered. Now, when I say fire insurance, they are trying to include certain additional areas inside which might also be covered as a very, very important factor of the fire insurance. So this is highly important for us to understand when we read that policy document, what are all the factors under which they are trying to cover us and how it is being looked after. Now, moving forward, the special considerations that you need to understand. The special considerations are a policyholder should check the home value each year to determine if there is a need for increase in coverage amount. Absolutely yes. Why? Because most of the time in India, what we tend to do here is that we purchase a home and we are very happy. We just believe that yes, we have created an asset. But what is the real value of your asset? Every year, is the asset value going up or decreasing? 99.9% of the time, the asset value goes up. If the asset value is going up, the insurance coverage also needs to go up. Because if a damage happens to your property after 10 or 20 years, the value of the asset might not be the same as you purchased some 20 years back. So at that point of time, when the value of the asset is higher, the value of the insurance cover also needs to be higher. So that is why we always recommend to you saying that please check the value of the property every year and try to assess the insurance that is required. At least you do it once in 3 years, you will come to know where exactly the value of your property is. Next, the policy holder cannot get insurance more than the home's actual value. Now, this is a simple statement, but it is a very, very powerful and a realistic thing to think about. Why? Because most of the people think in this way. Suppose the value of my house is 1 crore. Will I get an insurance equal to 1 crore or 1.5 crore? Definitely not. Why? Because you cannot get an insurance more than 1 crore because the asset value itself is 1 crore. So you might get an insurance vehicles worth about 80 lakhs or 90 lakhs or 95 lakhs also, but you will not get an insurance cover more than the value of your own asset. That has to be kept very, very clear in the mind of the people. Never expect the insurance value to be more than the actual value of the asset at any given point of time. This is mandatory. Followed by, the insurance companies may offer standalone policies for rare, expensive and irreplaceable items that are otherwise not covered in standard fire insurance. Now, this is very, very important. Why? Because let's take for an example, a fire breaks out in a museum where very rare, expensive and irreplaceable items are kept. Then what happens all of a sudden? Where can we go and replace those items? No, those are items which are hundreds and thousands of years old. Now, we cannot go back and get those items. They are said to be one of the rarest collections by the mankind. So, for those kind of scenarios, what does the fire insurance do is that they start creating something called as a standalone policy. Now, what is a standalone policy, sir? Standalone policy means an insurance policy that is created only for that particular asset, only for that particular value altogether, and these are covered under special consideration or a special condition altogether. And these items, as we are talking now, these items are not mentioned in the regular policy. So that's why we say that otherwise not covered in the standard policy. So definitely they are not covered in the regular policies. They are going to be covered under a special condition or a specific criteria altogether. So that's why we say that these are the special conditions that you need to understand in the case of fire insurance. Now, moving forward, additional fact that you need to know about the fire insurance here. The first thing is that fire insurance provides extra coverage to the offset any additional cost to replace, repair property that surpasses the limit set by homeowners insurance. Now, this is something very, very important for all of us. Most of the time, when a fire breakout happens, an unfortunate event altogether, now what happens to the owner of the house? Definitely, he might be disturbed. He will think that how is this we are going to replace? How is that we are going to come back to normalcy? So all sort of questions will definitely run in the mind of the homeowner. So what we do in fire insurance is that we also provide an additional cost benefit through which you will be able to actually generate some money back to the repairs and the additional furnishing and all those costs which you require in order to bring the home back to the normal condition. So actually fire insurance, if you start seeing, apart from giving you the insurance or the replacement cost altogether, they also help you to set back your home. This kind of insurance is not given in the normal home insurance, but this is an additional feature that is being provided under the Fire Insurance Act. So that is why you need to know it as an additional factor altogether. Now, moving forward, what does it mean or what does it we are to do with it in terms of it, the provision? Now, when we go here, fire insurance policies provide payment for the loss of use of property as a result of fire because of any additional living expenses are necessitated by uninhabited conditions where you are not able to live in the normal scenario, in the normal condition. Yes, they would also cover that. Now, the homeowner should document the property and its content to simplify the assessment of items damaged or lost in the event of fire. This is very, very important where I would like to stress upon. We are in a habit of buying new gadgets, equipments or utensils, whatever it is, every year, and we just keep on adding up the value every year. Now, what happens is that some point down the lane, we lose track of what is there exactly left in the house. So we do not know exactly we have 2 fridges, 3 televisions, or we have 4 washing machines. What is the account that you have about the number of items that are available inside your property? Many times, you do not know exactly how many shirts, how many pants, or how many, what are the factors of clothes that you have inside. So this is always important because when a fire or any untoward incident happens, you should be in a position to account all the details properly so that the assessment becomes easy and they can come back and give you the exact amount based on the evaluation. Followed by, a fire insurance policy includes additional coverage against smoke or water damage that is caused by fire. It's quite normal altogether, because anytime when a fire breaks out, immediately a fire engine is called and they start spraying the water, because of which your electronic items might not have got completely damaged, or because of the smoke effect all the interiors and all the factors would have got damaged. So that is also being covered by the fire insurance, and it is usually effective for 1 year. Now the fire insurance policies are on the verge of expirations are usually renewable by the homeowner under the same conditions as the original policy. So as you had bought the policy, as the policy has already been explained and told to you, and how you have signed on the terms and contract of the policy based on the same methodology, it has been told. So it is mandatory that you follow the same method as far as possible. Now, moving forward, with this, we come to the end of this session. I hope and believe that this session was interesting, useful, and educative. In the next session, we will be talking about the standard procedures and policy of the fire insurance. Until then, thank you for joining me on this wonderful session.